Hey everybody, it's Morgan. Welcome back to another weekly Shlog here at Highland Cycles, where we show you all kinds of cool dirt bike stuff. We're going to be working on this 350 KTM here soon. Zach is still fighting it out with the non-sparky, non-running, newish KTM. Yeah, lots of things going on this week. It's going to be a ton of fun. If you got here because of a review video or a ride video or a race video or something like that, stick around. This is what we do every week. Comes out. The Shlogs come out every Monday around 4 o'clock-ish. We try to shoot for that. And it's just a week in the life of a motorcycle shop in Western Colorado. Dirt bike shop specifically. We don't generally work on street bikes. Unless, of course, it's that beautiful thing. Our good friend Troy Nordquist owns that, has owned it a very long time. That is a 1985 RZ350. I will always break my own rules to work on something sexy like that. So, super excited about that. So, I don't know if we're going to get to that this week, but make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that blah, 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 blah stuff. Anyway, here we go. All right, guys, first on the lift is this 350 XCFW. It's been a problem child. It runs great and all that good stuff. It is getting tired. The motor's definitely getting tired. But it's leaking oil, and it continues to leak oil, and I've replaced all kinds of things. I've had other mechanics replace things, gaskets and stuff like that. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. But before we do that, I have to say a quick shout out to Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Biggest sponsor of the channel. They are huge. They help us out. They're amazing people. They're a great company, employee owned, all that good stuff, guys. If you want to support them, you want to support us, you want to get better prices on parts, free shipping, and all that good stuff, use the link in the description. But as always, please shop local first. If you can or want to, you like the people, local store, local shop, please shop with them first. That means way more to me than us making some money on your parts purchases. So please do that first. But if you can't, or if you need something from Rocky Mountain, please use our link below. Also, you can go to our website, highland-cycles.com, bookmark that website, and every time you click on that bookmark, the very first thing that comes up is it's basically a picture of our Rocky Mountain page. You click on that, and it'll go to our thing. That's the only way you can bookmark it and have it work. If you bookmark the Rocky Mountain site, it doesn't actually work. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get to this. So, leaking from right in here, from like this cover. Like originally we had a leak from the slave cylinder, so we got that sorted out. And then I noticed that like the crush washer wasn't in the right spot, and one of the bolts wasn't in the right spot. I don't even know, guys. It's driving me nuts. So I'm going to drain the oil, take the skid plate off, take this thing outside and try to clean it. It's super gross outside, so I don't know. I might just waste a whole bunch of brake cleaner in here because I don't want to go out there in the cold and wet. So, but we're going to get this all cleaned up and get that cover off and look and see if I'm just missing something. If there's a crack or something that's not flat, or I don't know. It's been super annoying. So, yeah, let's get after it. Nice. This is Morgan. Hello. Double Ron. What up? I'm good, man. Well, I'm good. I'm pissed because my stupid KTM broke when I was riding the best I've ridden in years. I was racing, and fucking thing, like, whatever. I'm so pissed. I got the whole shot, and I was leading for 6 miles, like, absolutely killing it for me. I mean, dude, I was so stoked, and my clutch faded completely away to where I, wouldn't disengage, and, you're done at that point. You can't go fast with that. So, yeah, I pull into the pits, and we took the cover off just to see if there's like no fluid and we could just bleed some in there. And dude, there's glitter inside my master cylinder reservoir. Is just like glittery metal. All right, guys, so I did some serious cleaning, and actually when I took the inner cover off, I think I may have found what was going on. So back up a little bit. Originally, Richie, who was working for me for a long time here while Zach was gone, he was the one that worked on this. And he had these things off and on and off and on a bunch because we were dealing with the leak and it was a problem. And when I took this inner cover off, the bolts, all these bolts that were holding it on were not that tight. I wouldn't say they were super loose. Like, well, no, they're pretty loose. Like, they didn't require any effort to loosen up. They were not like rattling loose by any means, but they were not super tight. And so I am hoping that what was actually happening, I thought it was leaking from this cover where it goes on here, down in here. I'm hoping what was going on was actually it was leaking from the back side and just dripping down and over. It's really hard to tell a lot of times, obviously, where oil's coming from because it's, you know, it migrates all over the place, especially when the bike's warm. So I've cleaned and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned on these things. The gaskets actually look really good. They're not torn up. The one on the inner is like an aluminum with rubber, and it looks perfect. The one on the outside, it was brand new the last time I put it on, and it didn't tear or anything. So I'm going to try putting this all back together. I may have to take it apart again. We'll see, and see if this does it. I'm hoping that with the right amount of torque on these bolts, which these, like all these 6 mil bolts, they take like 8 foot-pounds. Not much, but it's definitely more than what was on there. So let's get this thing on there and we'll give it a shot. And by the way, I'm taking blame for this. I'm not blaming Richie because I had this off since him and didn't check these bolts. So all on me. I should have checked when I had this off, and I should have done a little more investigation. So yeah, let's put this back together. I'm gonna get the camera for that one. Guys! We found at least something wrong with the bike that Zach's been struggling with. Although he said it was so is it sparking now? Oh yeah. So maybe Zach just needs to have his eyes worked on. But look at this, guys. That is not awesome. I wonder what caused that. Maybe just a failure. I know KTM has had reed problems. I've actually never ever seen that though. Never seen that. That's well, there we go. There's your problem. So we'll get Zach's eyes checked, and then we're also going to get a set of reeds for this thing. I think we solved the problem. You guys had some great suggestions about ECU, stuff like that. Fortunately, we have that bike. We checked it against. Everything swapped. Everything ran on that bike and did not run on this bike. So, but that's how it would be if the reeds were that bad. So, mystery solved, at least we think. I'm sure it is. So, get that sorted out and get that running. And yeah, gnarly. There's Jeffrey. All right, guys, I was not as lucky as I'd hoped. I think the gasket is no good, this outer gasket. The inner one that's the rubber-coated metal is fine, but this gasket just didn't hold up to coming off and going back on again. I think it was new the last time, but honestly, this thing's been a bit of a problem child for a while, so it might not even have been the first time. So, got a new one coming. It's driving me nuts because I cleaned this thing. I was really worried that something was cracked or not flat anymore, and everything looks perfect, so I don't think that's the case. I'm really hopeful that once we get a brand new fresh gasket, we'll be good to go. So this goes to the side now, and now we're going to work on the KTM with the weird battery killing problem. I got a new battery for it. By the way, Firepower batteries, which is from Western Power Sports, 3-year warranty on that thing. 3 years, and they just sent me a brand spanking new one. So that's pretty rad. Yeah, I'm surprised. And it was almost a year old. So yeah, anyway, super stoked about that. So yeah, we got that thing in here. Let's pull this thing up, check and make sure we don't have any weird draws, but I'm pretty sure it's that Tusk controller. All right, guys, got battery in this thing. Got it running, runs great, whatever. I think that it's this Tusk controller that's causing the problems. So this is the connection here. It's actually interesting. I unplugged it and then plugged it back in, and it still had the dashes here, but now it's back on. I'm pretty sure that thing's jacked up. But I'm gonna show you guys how to test amp draw on this thing. So what we're gonna do, put you guys down here. What we're doing is we're just gonna see if we can find if there's a draw. So what we wanna do is we take the positive lead from that fan. So there's our positive lead. Set our meter to, let's just do milliamps because DC, because it's a DC powered thing. Go milliamps because I don't think the draw is gonna be big when it's not on. Actually, we got to move our meter over here to milliamps. So from the volts DC and ohms thing to milliamps, and we're gonna, there we go. 1.29 milliamps, 1.28, 1.87, kind of goes up. That's interesting. It's definitely not consistent. It's like 128, then 189. I have a feeling that is what's causing it. Now, I'm not 100% sure what that is supposed to be for sure, but I'm gonna do a little bit of research, but I think that controller is no good. I'm gonna try to talk this gentleman into just putting a toggle switch on it or getting a different fan. So yeah, anyway, stay tuned. We'll keep talking about this as we go through the Shlog here, but yeah, I'm sure it's that, and I will see what he wants to do to fix it. This bike, honestly, this is a 21, 22, something like that. Anyway, it's got the setup to have a relay and just do it through the computer and the bike, which is how I would do it if it were mine, but I'm gonna see what he wants to do. All right, guys, so I talked to this gentleman, and he has a device that he found, and he forgot to actually leave it with me because he kind of figured it was something with like a minimal draw. It turns out he let this sit for months, not too many months, but a few months, 3 or 4 months, because I think he maybe lives somewhere else and he stores a bike here and maybe has a house here. I'm not sure exactly the situation, but yeah, so he let it sit for a little while, and that's what killed the battery. So I think that Tusk controller is the thing that killed the battery, because it turns out 1.8 milliamps is too many. Even 1.2 seems like a little bit much. So, especially if it's going to sit for a while. So he's bought a device that actually, with a key fob, can just disconnect the battery. It must be some sort of contactor or something. I don't know where he's going to find room for it, but he's going to install that. I think if you remember last week's Shlog, yeah, I was testing the tubeless, and the inner chamber is working just fine on these things. So he's going to get some stands or orange seal or some other latex-based sealant to put in there in the outer ones to keep them fresh and sealed up. And we are going to do a set of fork seals because they're gross. So yeah, let's yank these forks off. All right, we got that KTM all done, did the fork seals, and he's going to pick it up and take care of the whole battery disconnect thing. And hopefully that solves the problem. It should. I mean, if he just parks it, it should be fine, because the 1.8 milliamps shouldn't be enough to drain it in like a week, but a few months is definitely enough. So next on the list is an RMZ250. Holy crap. I have not had an RMZ in here in way, way, way long. These people just bought this thing. I think it's a 23, which is basically like an 08. But we are going to lower this thing. It's a woman bought this, and she needs it just a little bit lower, so we're going to put a spacer in the shock. I'll show you how that works. And then raise the forks up in the triple clamps, and just do the kind of the least expensive, easiest way to do this. So to get this shock off, I'm looking at it. I have not ever done one of these. It looks like I got to take the seat off, exhaust off, side panel off, flip the subframe up, and pull that shock out. So now I got to unhook the air boot from the throttle body, make sure there's no plugs that are going to break or do anything weird when we flip it up. Got a fuel line, but because it's got an injector in the air box, which are air boot, which is pretty cool. So it must have 2 injectors. One in the throttle body, one in the air box. That's actually a pretty sweet design for a very old style motorcycle. So I don't know. Kenny's been winning every now and then on it, so they must not be too bad. Sweet. All right, let's head over to the bench. I'll show you what we're gonna do. All right, now I got over to the bench. We're gonna loosen our preload spring or preload adjuster. Get this spring off of here. Now we're gonna pop this dust cover out of here. Then we're gonna let the nitrogen out. Actually, let the nitrogen out first here. Because what we're gonna do is we're just gonna push this seal head in. I'll show you the part we're gonna use here, but and so that we don't have to do anything like take the shock apart, we let that nitrogen out. So then as we push this in, it'll squeeze that bladder a little bit, but not, you know, won't lose the bleed or anything like that. So we have a 46 and a 50. It looks like this is a 50, but just so you can see it, super simple. You flip this around there. You put the O-ring on it just to kind of hold it together and also make it slide in there nice. And then the circlip then goes over this little ridge to hold the thing. So I think this looks like the right side. I always take just a little bit of grease on that outside O-ring to help this slide down in there. And actually, before I do all this, I got to push the other seal head down and get that circlip out. There we go. And it's about a 5 mil thick spacer, but it lowers the bike 30 because of the linkage and the, you know. So, pretty sweet deal. Don't have to do anything special. Put our valve core back in, go put 150 PSI back in this sucker, and put it all back together. All right, put the shock back on, and then flip the bike around and get the forks raised up in the clamps and put a new tire on, because that tire is terrible, pushy, whatever. It's not good. I'm sure it's great on a motocross track and maybe somewhere else, but not in our dirt. It is the Dunlop MX33F came on it, so yeah, just not awesome. Sweet. Button all this stuff back up and spin this bike around. All right, guys, next on the lift is this Beta 200 RR Race Edition that is having clutch troubles. The clutch started slipping really bad. The lever feels great, and our good friend Lance had this bike, and interesting saga. So clutch started slipping, the bike wouldn't really go forward. I mean, he got it out of wherever he was, but it was not good. So, all right, no worries, we'll just get a new clutch. So we went on to Beta's website, and they list the clutch, and each plate is almost $25. Each fiber and each steel, almost $25, and there's 13 or 14, no, 15, I don't know. It's a lot. It ends up being a very, very expensive clutch. So we did some research, and we found out that we could get frictions from ProX, right there, that are way more affordable. Unfortunately, no one makes steels other than Beta. But we are going to try to just use frictions today to fix the situation. Hopefully the steels aren't super blued. I haven't even taken it apart yet. Obviously, if they are, and warped, we're gonna have to get new steel plates too. But super hopeful that they're okay. I believe that this is part of the issue with the 200 clutch design. It's got this, you know, the line comes out here, the slave pushes in. It's basically a mini bike clutch setup, really, that they only use on the 125 and 200, and the 300 and 250s all use the normal style with the slave cylinder on the other side of the bike, pushing the pressure plate out. It's not the end of the world. It's not the, whatever. It's fine. But if you guys Google around, you'll see that the 200 betas, there's a lot of discussion of clutches on the 200 beta. They make noise, they squeal. Anyway, so we are going to replace this thing, so join me. Here we go. All right, guys, got the clutch cover off, and definitely some yuck right in there. So I'm gonna pop this sucker out. Like I said, this is a very weird clutch if you're used to seeing clutches. The fact that it pushes in to disconnect. Yeah, anyway, so it is definitely weird and probably part of why it's not the best clutch in the world. So anyway, let's get this stuff off and take a look at these plates. Interesting, they use a Nordlock kind of washer instead of bending the tabs up on the bigger washer. Definitely super dirty. Let's go over to the bench and take a look at this. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So this is how it works. It's funky. The inner hub pulls up when you put the springs on it, and then you push it in to disconnect it. Hang on. All right. So this is backwards. So that's the hub. It's got some marks, but they're really not grooves. And then let's pull these out. The thing about clutches, guys, you always got to go deep into the pack to take a look and see what's blue. You can see the inside is definitely more worn than the outside. So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't really look that bad. Surprise, surprise. I'm just going to put this together, squeeze it. We're going to get a measurement. Here, let's just measure the frictions. That'll be the easiest to compare. All right, so measure our stack of frictions. We got 21.16. I'm interested, guys, because I'm not 100% sure this is going to be that different. And this is actually less. Now, these don't have oil in them. So that begs the question, what the heck is going on? All right, guys, so I did some looking into it. I talked to the owner of the bike, and it definitely was slipping. The plates show that, but these just don't look bad. So I talked to him a little bit. We've come up with the game plan. I want you guys to stick with me, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, because I think we're going to get it sorted out. So what I'm going to first do is clean these up really good, and then I'm going to take these to some flat. We have a machine surface, a granite block with some sandpaper on it. I'm just going to both sides, scuff these up, get the glaze off of them. We're going to use the brand new friction discs, put this all back together, and then we're going to bleed the clutch. I have a feeling that actually what was going on was not anything to do with these plates, but was to do with the fluid. It's probably old fluid. He's never ever bled it, and I'm guessing it either has some water in it or something like that it pulled into it, which happens with brake fluid. And as it got hot, it expanded and caused the clutch to open up and caused it to slip. And then it cooled down, it got better. So I think that's what's going on. So we're going to get all this stuff cleaned up and all that good stuff, and we'll be right back as we install it and bleed that clutch. All right, guys, got these all resurfaced. They're all flat too, by the way. Checked them against that plate, so that's awesome. Super happy to hear about that. And now this is where these clutches are really weird to install. So you gotta make sure that's in there. This goes in here, and we take a friction steel, friction, steel, stack them all in here. Let me take this. There's a mark right there and a mark right there. There we go. I like to take that, set it on there. I'm going to try to just slowly drop this down. There we go. Now, everything's in its home. And like I said, this is going to pull up to engage the clutch. So let's go over to the bike. Now, I need to get like a helmet cam, head cam, so I can show you this up close as I'm doing it. It's kind of hard to do, but what we're going to do is we're going to slide this on here, and it needs to line up with these splines, and it's not real easy to do, but just take your time. You're just going to wiggle it like that until everything goes in. It's very different from a normal clutch. Put our Nord lock back on there. Now, tightening this thing down, we're probably not going to get it all the way tight. All right, there we go. That should be good. It's an interesting thing, man. It's just super different. So we're going to put this. Take our springs, put them over the towers. You got to be really careful because there's a lot of tension on this thing, so you want to make sure you don't get it cross-threaded. And I know I'm using a power tool, but I can tell when this thing is not going right, so probably recommend doing it by hand the first 100. Then you can use something like this. Now we're going to grab our torque wrench. Since it's in gear, we'll be able to put 8 foot-pounds on these. All right, now just a matter of putting the clutch cover back on. I'm going to clean this thing really good too, because it's disgusting from being underneath that cover. But I'm not going to clean it yet because I didn't unhook it from the master, so I can't take it somewhere else and clean it, or from the slave cylinder, I guess, or hydraulic line. You know what I mean. So I'm going to put it on there and then clean it. Cool thing about this tool is you don't have to use the power part. You can just use it as a ratchet too. All right, guys, I'm not going to put this all the way back together because I got the frame guard, stuff like that, because I need to bleed this thing. And then also, oh man, I just realized I'm going to have to take this cover back off to bleed it because I can't get to the, oh, that sucks. Can't get to the bleed screw, not to the hex part of it to actually turn it. So take this off, but fortunately I guess it's got 2 others. I might actually run these back in to hold it, because since the slave is in the cover, it could flex, and I don't want that happening while I'm bleeding it. So all right, guys, got that held up. I ended up not needing all those zip ties, but because it's going to go around anyway. So got that on there. Now I can crack that loose, bleed fluid, and we'll take a look and see how it looks. There's something going on here that I'm not 100% sure. Lever adjustment might have been out. I was battling with something here. It's interesting. This is an aftermarket lever from ARC, which are very good levers. I'm not saying anything bad, but this adjuster, you see that it's like a Phillips. It's got a cross in it, and that cross has to line up to go onto there, and it was not quite lined up. And I'm wondering if maybe it was getting out, and it was because it was like cocked on there, and then this was pushing on it. I think, yeah, I think we might have her fixed. So new plates, which is not bad since it got super hot and spun a lot and slipped a lot. So I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I feel good about that. Now let's yank the pipe off and try to blow some of that out. And then also we're going to repack the silencer because we cut this one down really short, so it fills up with oil pretty quick. All right, guys, got the beta all done. Check out the pipe. I think it looks pretty good. It was super smashed, so we got that all sorted out. I got the muffler repacked. Like, sounds way, way better with a freshly packed muffler. And the clutch is working great. It's a little sticky, and I've actually had that problem with these 200s. When you put brand new clutches in them, they kind of little drag for a little bit. But it's the opposite of the problem he was having, which was the slipping. So super happy with that thing. It turned out pretty good. Yeah, it's end of the day right now, so we're getting ready to go ride for Thursday night. All right, guys, that's the end of the week, the end of the Shlog. I'm getting ready to film an introduction video on that motorcycle right there. I'm not going to tell you guys about it right now because I know you guys are all going to watch it, but I want you to watch it and tell you what's going on with that. I'm really excited. It's crazy busy here at Highland Cycles, and that just makes my heart full, knowing that we are helping people get out on their dirt bikes and have fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've watched all the way to the end, first, that means you are part of the Punk Rock Club. Give us one of these in the comments. And then also, consider subscribing if you haven't. Man, we have a really good rate of subscribers versus non-subscribers watching and all that stuff. We actually do really well there. But there's a lot of you who are watching that have not subscribed. So think about hitting that subscribe button. Also consider hitting the notification bell. You're going to get a lot of notifications from us because we upload a lot because I just love doing this. So anyway, I love you. Please use the links in the description for all those sponsors. They're amazing. Just amazing, amazing people. And I hope you guys get out and spread the gospel of two wheels. And I desperately hope that what we're doing here at Highland Cycles is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!